Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Gaza ceasefire delayed as Israel waits for names of hostages to be freed. Hamas says list to be given any moment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights India's achievements in space in his first radio address of 2025. And TikTok stops working in the US ahead of a ban that takes effect on Sunday. In news just coming in, Israel's hardline National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and two other ministers from his nationalist religious party have resigned from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet over the Gaza ceasefire deal. The Otzma Yehudit party is no longer part of the ruling coalition, but has said it will not try to bring down Netanyahu's government. Meanwhile, a long-awaited ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict was delayed on Sunday after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said at the last minute that it would not take effect until Hamas provides a list of the hostages to be released. A statement from Netanyahu's office issued less than an hour before the truce was to start at 6:30 GMT said he had instructed the IDF military that the ceasefire will not begin until Israel has received the list. A Hamas official said a list of hostages to be released under a ceasefire deal would be handed over any moment, but that complexities in Gaza and Israeli bombing were causing delays. Hamas affirmed its commitment to the Gaza ceasefire deal, saying a delay in disclosing the names of hostages to be released in the first phase was due to technical field reasons. The initial exchange was to see 3 Israeli hostages released from captivity in return for a first group of Palestinian prisoners. If the ceasefire goes ahead, a total of 33 hostages taken by militants during Hamas's 7th October 2023 attack on Israel will be returned from Gaza during an initial 42-day truce. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that a ceasefire in Gaza would not commence unless Hamas provides a list of hostages to be released. Netanyahu also said that Israel reserved the right to resume the war if necessary with US support and that the current ceasefire was only temporary.
The cabinet and the government approved the plan for the return of our hostages. This is an objective of the war of which we will not let go until it is complete. Both President Trump and President Biden gave full backing to Israel's right to return to fighting if Israel reaches the conclusion that negotiations of the second stage is fruitless. I appreciate it very much. If we need to resume fighting, we will do that in new ways and we will do it with great force.
The Israeli military said it continues to carry out attacks in Gaza, insisting that a ceasefire with Hamas has still not come into effect as the group has not provided a list of hostages to be released.
As of this morning, Hamas is not fulfilling its commitment, and contrary to the agreement, the names of the returning hostages have not yet been transferred to the State of Israel as of this time. At the direction of the Prime Minister, the ceasefire will not take effect as long as Hamas does not fulfill its commitment. The IDF continues to attack even now inside the Gaza Strip as long as Hamas does not abide by its commitment to the agreement with all that it implies.
על כל המשתמע מכך.
And joining me is my colleague Akshay Dongre. Akshay, what's the latest you can share with us?
Well, Ramesh, what we are hearing right now from Gaza is that the Israeli defense forces are now carrying out attacks against Hamas targets. According to the latest reports that we are getting from our sources there, casualties have also been reported, with a death toll being reported as high as 8 people who were killed after there were Israeli airstrikes that were conducted by the Israeli defense forces. Now, the IDF has clearly stated that the ceasefire has not come into effect, as Hamas has not yet given the list of the hostages that it has to return. And while Hamas has said that it has happened due to technical issue, but the kind of trust deficit that we have seen between the two parties means that until and unless all the conditions are fulfilled of the ceasefire, it will not be implemented. And Israel remains as skeptical as it was several months before against implementing a ceasefire without all the conditions being fulfilled. And now the kind of response that we are seeing from Israel in itself is also that there are now different groups that are in fact raising different kind of demands. For example, the Israeli minister from the hardline Hebrew group that has resigned the government clearly goes on to show that there is a large sect of hardliners that do not want a ceasefire to come into effect and who want the war to continue until and unless all the threats against Israel are completely annihilated. A lot of groups that are raising different voices in Israel itself. But as far as the ceasefire is concerned, it has not yet come into effect, despite the time being announced of ceasefire being at 6:30 GMT. But it is way past that, and until and unless Hamas gives a list of the hostages that are returning today, the attacks attacks in Gaza against Hamas will also not stop. Back to you.
Akshay, do stay on. We're getting some breaking news again from Israel as we speak. This is news just coming in. Hamas says it has released the names of 3 Israeli women hostages who are to be freed on Sunday. This is breaking here on DD India as we speak. Hamas says it has released the names of 3 Israeli women prisoners and hostages who are to be freed on Sunday. As we stay on this news, Akshay, do walk us through this news that's coming in that the 3 names have been released. So the ceasefire can be expected to remain in place for the foreseeable future as well?
Well, if Hamas has given the names of the hostages that are to be released, and if, let's say, the Israeli government is assured of the return of these hostages, then we can expect some ceasefire implementation to take place. But as we have been reiterating that the trust deficit is in fact at an all-time high between Hamas and the Israeli government. We have seen that many a times ceasefire implementation has been announced by both the sides, but it did not take a lot of time for both the sides to in fact taking a U-turn and going against their word as far as ceasefire is concerned, and trying to retaliate against each other. Ceasefires have also been seen as an opportunity to have strikes even before the other side is ready. Preemptive strikes have taken place from both the sides whenever ceasefires have been announced. So if Hamas has given the names of 3 hostages, and if these are the only hostages that are to be released today, then we can expect the ceasefire implementation to start, at least the first phase to begin. But there are a lot many phases, a lot more needs to be done as far as permanent ceasefire is concerned, which is going to take a lot of time before it actually converts into reality on the ground. Back to you, Ramesh.
Right, Akshay, thank you for that update. Appreciate it. Just to bring our viewers up to speed with the latest news coming in from Israel, mediators have told Israel they have received hostage names. Mediators have told Israel they have received the names of 3 hostages to be released on Sunday as part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. The list is not yet in Israeli hands, reports Reuters, but AFP is reporting that Hamas has released the names of 3 Israeli women hostages who would be freed sometime on Sunday. Akshay, thank you. Appreciate it. Right, moving on, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged Israel to entirely withdraw from Lebanese territory by the deadline of 27th of January. This came as he visited the Lebanese border town of Nakhura, home to the headquarters of the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, which was recently vacated by Israeli forces. The Secretary General called on both parties and those with influence to ensure commitments under the ceasefire are realized and use the deal to address outstanding issues.
It is now essential to see the withdrawal of the Israel Defense Forces from Lebanese territory and the simultaneous deployment of the Lebanese armed forces across southern Lebanon in the agreed time frame. Moreover, Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected, and the Lebanese state must have full control of weapons through Lebanese territory. This is a central tenet of Resolution 1701.
Right, moving on in other news, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump arrived at Washington's Dulles International Airport on Saturday for an inauguration celebration marking his return to power that's been upended by record cold temperatures. Trump arrived in an Air Force plane sent by outgoing President Joe Biden to his home in Palm Beach, Florida, where the Republican had worked on his transition to power after winning the 5th November election over Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump is due to hold a rally with supporters inside the Capital One Arena in downtown Washington, D.C. on Sunday, the eve of his inauguration, as well as a post-inauguration event Monday afternoon, local time. A blast of frigid weather forecast for Monday prompted Trump to move the inaugural ceremonies from the iconic west front of the U.S. Capitol building to indoors in the Capitol's Rotunda and the parade down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capital One Arena. And Donald Trump and his family watched a fireworks display from the Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia, ahead of his inauguration. TikTok stopped working in the United States late on Saturday and disappeared from Apple and Google app stores ahead of a law that takes effect Sunday, requiring the shutdown of the app used by 170 million U.S. nationals. Other apps owned by ByteDance, including video editing app CapCut and lifestyle social app Lemon8, were also offline and unavailable in the U.S. app stores as of late Saturday. TikTok, which is owned by China's ByteDance, told users that a law banning TikTok has been enacted in the US. Unfortunately, that means one can't use TikTok for now. It also said that they are fortunate that President-elect Donald Trump has indicated that he will work with them on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Donald Trump has said that earlier in the day he would most likely give TikTok a 90-day reprieve from the ban after he takes office on Monday, a promise TikTok cited in a notice posted to users on the app. Still to come on DD India Live. Outgoing US Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti calls on Prime Minister Modi. India's IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav to attend the World Economic Forum at Davos. And India's men's and women's teams to play in the Kho Kho World Cup finals on Sunday.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed countrymen in the 118th edition of his monthly Mann Ki Baat program, touching upon various topics and achievements of the country. The PM urged all to work towards making India the best nation. Here's the report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed countrymen in the first episode of the year 2025 of his monthly program Mann Ki Baat. The program takes place on the last Sunday of every month. However, this time, Mann Ki Baat was broadcast a week before on the third Sunday instead, as on next Sunday, India will be celebrating its Republic Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the personalities involved in making of the country's constitution.
इस बार का गणतंत्र दिवस बहुत विशेष है। ये भारतीय गणतंत्र की 75वीं वर्षगांठ है। इस वर्ष संविधान लागू होने के 75 साल हो रहे हैं। मैं संविधान सभा के उन सभी महान व्यक्तित्वों को नमन करता हूं, जिन्होंने हमें हमारा पवित्र संविधान दिया। संविधान सभा के दौरान अनेक विषयों पर लंबी लंबी चर्चाएं हुई। वो चर्चाएं संविधान सभा के सदस्यों के विचार, उनकी वो वाणी हमारी बहुत बड़ी धरोहर है।
PM Modi paid special attention to the stupendous achievements by Indian scientists in the field of space.
साथियों, कुछ दिन पहले हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने स्पेस सेक्टर में ही एक और बड़ी उपलब्धि हासिल की। हमारे साइंटिस्ट ने सैटेलाइट्स की स्पेस डॉकिंग कराई है। जब अंतरिक्ष में 2 स्पेस क्राफ्ट कनेक्ट किए जाते हैं तो इस प्रक्रिया को स्पेस डॉकिंग कहते हैं। यह तकनीक अंतरिक्ष में स्पेस स्टेशन तक सप्लाई भेजने और क्रू मिशन के लिए अहम है। भारत ऐसा चौथा देश बना है जिसने ये सफलता हासिल की है।
PM Narendra Modi also acknowledged the fact that the initiative of Startup India completed 9 successful years and how the campaign has reached every nook and corner of the country.
जब यह सुनने को मिलता है कि अंबाला, हिसार, कांगड़ा, चेंगलपट्टू, बिलासपुर, ग्वालियर और वाशिम जैसे शहर स्टार्टअप्स के सेंटर बन रहे हैं तो मन आनंद से भर जाता है। नागालैंड जैसे राज्य में पिछले साल स्टार्टअप्स के रजिस्ट्रेशन में 200% से अधिक की वृद्धि हुई है।
PM also drew parallels between Grand Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh and South India's Pushkaram. He termed Kumbh as the festival of unity in diversity.
कुंभ का आयोजन हमें ये भी बताता है कि कैसे हमारी परंपराएं पूरे भारत को एक सूत्र में बांधती हैं। उत्तर से दक्षिण तक मान्यताओं को मानने के तरीके एक जैसे ही हैं। एक तरफ प्रयागराज, उज्जैन, नासिक और हरिद्वार में कुंभ का आयोजन होता है। वैसे ही दक्षिण भूभाग में गोदावरी, कृष्णा, नर्मदा और कावेरी नदी के तटों पर पुष्करम होते हैं। ये दोनों ही पर्व हमारी पवित्र नदियों से, उनकी मान्यताओं से जुड़े हुए हैं।
The Indian Prime Minister concluded this edition of Mann Ki Baat broadcast by encouraging all to continue working in their own ways to contribute to make India the best nation in the world. Antra Sinha for DD India.
Outgoing US Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti and his family met with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday. The US Ambassador highlighted that US-India relations have reached new heights because of the efforts of Prime Minister Modi and President Biden. Garcetti expressed his gratitude to the Prime Minister and the people of India for their warm hospitality during his final visit to India. He emphasized that the US-India partnership has become indispensable and will continue to grow stronger in the coming years. India's Home Minister Amit Shah was the chief guest at the 20th Foundation Day celebrations of the Indian National Disaster Response Force in Vijayawada in the South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh on Sunday. On the occasion, India's Home Minister Amit Shah and Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu inaugurated the 10th Battalion of the NDRF campus and the NIDM Southern campus at Konda Pavaluru, Ganavaram Mandal as part of NDRF's Foundation Day celebrations. Addressing the event, the minister highlighted how NDRF has made India stand as a global leader in terms of disaster management and said the Narendra Modi government is dedicated towards disaster management.
आज विश्वास से कह रहा हूं, एनडीएमए ने बनाई हुई नीतियों को जमीन पर एनडीआरएफ ने उतारा है और इसके कारण डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट के मामले में आज भारत ग्लोबल लीडर बनकर बाहर आया है। नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट के काम के लिए कितनी गंभीर है। 12वें वित्त आयोग में 12,500 करोड़ रुपया डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट के लिए इंगित किया था। 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन ने 61,000 करोड़ रुपया 61,000 करोड़ रुपीस को इंगित करने का काम किया है।
January 19 marks a significant day for India's disaster management framework, the 20th raising day of the National Disaster Response Force or the NDRF. Established in 2006, the NDRF has become a global leader in disaster response, saving countless lives and standing as a symbol of courage and resilience. Here's a closer look at its remarkable journey.
With the motto of Aapda Sadaiv Sarvatra, meaning disaster service always and everywhere, the National Disaster Response Force has stood as a beacon of hope during the gravest of challenges. Operating under the National Disaster Management Authority, the NDRF was established on January 19, 2006, after the Disaster Management Act of 2005 came into effect.
We are committed to ensure that there is zero loss to human life during any disaster, and this is a team effort. So we are collaborating with the concerned state governments, their SDRF. In some governments, the fire service is doing the job. Somewhere, some other department is handling the issues. So we train them. We also train the home guard, the other volunteers.
What began with 8 battalions has now grown to 16, with specialized teams comprising engineers, technicians, electricians, medical staff, and dog squads. Spread across 68 strategic locations, including 28 regional response centers and 24 tactical pre-positioning locations, the NDRF ensures a rapid and efficient response to crisis. The success of NDRF lies in rigorous training, teamwork, and the adoption of advanced technology. The Disaster Response Force is constantly evolving to meet new challenges. Since its inception, the NDRF has saved over 150,000 lives and evacuated more than 800,000 individuals from disaster-stricken areas. Their international missions, including Nepal earthquake and the Turkey earthquake, have won global recognition for India's disaster response capabilities. As the NDRF celebrates its 20th Raising Day, it reaffirms its commitment to being a global leader in disaster management, embodying its values of professionalism, selflessness, and dedication.
We are encouraging innovation within our force, and I am very proud to say that many of our rescuers have made excellent innovations, and we have analyzed those innovations, and once we have approved those innovations, we have circulated to all our force so that they can be replicated elsewhere. And we are also ensuring that technology, we should be the best force within the country regarding the technology which is available anywhere in the world.
The NDRF's commitment to disaster response and resilience has truly set a global benchmark as they celebrate 2 decades of excellence. Their journey inspires us all to build a safer and more prepared nation. Akshay Dongre, DD India.
In sports news, the Indian men's and women's teams have advanced to the finals of the Kho-Kho World Cup, which will take place in New Delhi on Sunday. The men's team secured their spot in the summit clash against Nepal after a 62-42 win over South Africa in the semi-finals. South Africa had India on tenterhooks after getting an early lead in the first turn. But the hosts proved too strong in the final turn to take the game home. In the women's category, India once again showcased their tactical prowess, outplaying South Africa 66-16 in the semi-finals. The Indian women's team was exemplary both in attack and defence. They showcased exceptional tactics to secure a resounding win. They have set up the final clash with Nepal. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.